everybody, good morning. This is Shane. It's about 8:33 on September 3rd, and I'm just giving you another Bible study on the resurrection. Now, in Matthew 22:23 through 31, we read about the resurrection. Now, this is the Bible in Hebrew. In Hebrew, it's called Berit Kadashah, or Ha-Berit HaKadashah. Now, this is the Bible, the New Testament in Hebrew. Now, like with the Apocrypha, you can also translate that back into the Hebrew and use it to explain some of the thoughts of the Jews after the temple was destroyed, and between the periods that it was rebuilt and then rebuilt again. Now, in Matthew 22:23, the Sadducees, who don't believe in a resurrection, come to Jesus and ask him. The same day came to him the Sadducees, which say that there is no resurrection, and asked him, saying, Master, Moses said, if a man die, having no children, his brother shall marry his wife, and raise up seed unto his brother. Now there were with us 7 brethren, and the first, when he had married a wife, deceased, and having no children, left his wife unto his brother. Likewise the second also, and the third unto the 7th. And last of all the woman died also. Therefore in the resurrection, whose wife shall she be of the 7? For they all had her. Jesus answered and said unto them, You do err, not knowing the Scriptures nor the power of God. For in the resurrection they neither marry nor are given in marriage, but are as the angels of God in heaven. But as touching the resurrection of the dead, have ye not read that which was spoken unto you by God, saying, I am the God of Abraham, and the God of Jacob, and the God of Isaac? God is not the God of the dead, but the God of the living. And when the multitude heard this, they were astonished at his doctrine. Now, if you notice, Matthew and Mark read basically the same, but Luke says something different. In Luke 20:27 through 36, now Luke adds to what Matthew and Mark said. Now in Mark 12:18, you read the same account. But Luke says, Jesus answered in verse 34, said unto them, The children of this world marry and are given in marriage, but they which shall be accounted worthy to obtain that world and the resurrection from the dead, neither marry nor are given in marriage. Neither can they die any more, for they are equal unto the angels, and are the children of the resurrection, being the children of God. Now, why does Luke add to what Matthew and Mark said? He's making a point. Had Jesus said this statement, you would not expect to marry or be given in marriage after the resurrection. What Jesus said was, in the resurrection, they do not marry nor are given in marriage. How can you marry when you're being resurrected? You can't marry until after you are resurrected from the dead. Then you can marry. Now that's the whole point. Now if Jesus had said this, then you can say we don't marry. But in the first two stories, he didn't say this. So did Luke add to the commandment because he was making a point sarcastically? To say Jesus didn't say this, but had he said this, we can expect not to marry. But since he didn't say this, we can probably marry. Yeah. And that's the whole point. Had Jesus said this the first two times, when Luke said it, it would be a third witness. But since Matthew and Mark reads differently, you have to assume that they're the true things that Jesus said. Luke wasn't even present when Jesus said this. Matthew and Mark are taken from, Matthew is taken from Levi, the tax collector, and Mark is taken from Peter's teachings. So Matthew and Mark line up. They were eyewitnesses. Luke is taken from Paul. Paul wasn't an eyewitness, so he might have added a little bit to it, making a point. Now, some of his teachings, being that Paul is a Pharisee, could have crept in. Now, the Pharisees might think if you're resurrected, you can't marry afterwards. That's not true. That's not what Jesus said. Jesus says you do error not knowing the Scriptures nor the power of God. In the resurrection, they do not marry nor are given in marriage. You can't marry when you're being resurrected. You're being made from dead to alive. How can you marry in that process? Now, after you're resurrected, you're human again. You'll be resurrected in one of three forms: an androgynous form, a male form, or a female form. Now, all three equally are the image of God. Each one represents a different aspect of God in life. Nature itself is asexual in origin. A spirit isn't male or female. Therefore, its first image would be androgynous, like the earthworm, or certain reptiles, or certain fish, or certain types of animals are both genders. Earthworms, for example. These animals are androgynous. Then you've got animals that reproduce asexually. So that's the whole point. That's how they were made. If God resurrects animals, they'll be resurrected the same way as they are when they died. That's what Jesus said. So don't get confused about it. All it means is you're brought back from the dead. So anyway, hope you can understand that. Talk to you next time.